They never won a UFC championship. They never cared about rankings. But somehow, the Diaz brothers became the most respected and feared names in MMA history. Coming from one of America's toughest towns, Nick and Nate Diaz built their legacy through blood, cardio, and an attitude that combat sports has never seen.
Who's the better fighter between you guys?
That's a stupid question, dude. Yeah, we're both different fighters in different ways, you know? It's my brother. Like, or what? Like, that's stupid, you know? You gonna ask me that?
Stockton, California wasn't an easy place to grow up. Crime, gangs, and poverty surrounded them from an early age. Their father wasn't around much, and their mother worked multiple jobs just to keep the lights on. Instead of getting caught up in the streets, Nick found martial arts. His younger brother Nate followed him to his gym. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu became their escape, and under Cesar Gracie, they developed a style built on relentless pressure, endless cardio, and submission skills. They weren't the biggest, they weren't the strongest, but they refused to quit. Nick turned pro in 2001 before making his UFC debut in 2003. Almost immediately, fans noticed something. He talked trash, he fought anyone, and he never took a step backwards. His breakout moment came when he shocked the MMA world by knocking out Robbie Lawler.
I'm very impressed with his striking. He looks very calm in there too. And again, that could be because he's got experience. Right when I said
combination, Diaz knocks down Robbie Lawler, and then it's all over.
Robbie Lawler,
and it's all over. Nick Diaz has knocked out Robbie Lawler.
After leaving the UFC, Nate Diaz became one of the biggest stars outside the UFC. He won championships in Strikeforce and WEC, while defeating names like Frank Shamrock and BJ Penn. He defended the Strikeforce welterweight title 3 times and went on an amazing 11-fight winning streak. Many believed he was the best welterweight in the world outside of the UFC. While Nick was dominating Strikeforce, Nate earned his chance on The Ultimate Fighter Season 5. He wasn't expected to win. He was just the other Diaz. But his submissions, boxing, and confidence made him a fan favorite. After winning the show, Nate slowly built his reputation by defeating veterans like Donald Cerrone, Jim Miller, but he was still living in his brother's shadow. Conor McGregor was the biggest star the UFC had ever seen. Originally scheduled to fight Rafael dos Santos, McGregor suddenly needed a replacement. Nate Diaz accepted the fight in just 11 days' notice. But after surviving Conor's early power in the beginning of the fight, Nate overwhelmed him with pressure before locking him in a rear naked choke. One sentence changed his life forever.
Surprise, motherfuckers!
The upset became one of the biggest moments in UFC history. Nate wasn't just Nick's little brother anymore. He was one of the biggest stars in the UFC. The Diaz brothers weren't champions because of marketing. They were stars because they were real. They spoke what they thought. They fought anyone, and they never cared what people thought. Inside the cage, they were known for endless cardio, incredible chins, high-volume boxing, elite BJJ, and never backing down. Whether they were winning or losing, fans knew they were getting a war. Nick fought George St. Pierre for the UFC welterweight title and later returned for memorable fights with Anderson Silva and Robbie Lawler. Nate headlined massive pay-per-views against Conor McGregor twice, Jorge Masvidal.
Fight clock is brought to you by Modelo.
Leon Edwards and Tony Ferguson before leaving the UFC after his Tony Ferguson win. Neither brother finished with an undisputed UFC championship, but championships don't always define greatness. The Diaz brothers changed how fighters promoted themselves with their toughness and authenticity. And even today, When fans talk about the toughest fighters to ever step in the octagon, the Diaz brothers are always a part of the conversation. There will never be another pair of brothers like Nick and Nate Diaz.